Hello happy YouTubers, Marcelina here. If you guys fail many times propagating plants by cuttings, here are my best solutions to your problem. Plant propagation is a way to multiply plants you already have. If you fail many times rooting your cuttings or your cuttings die in the propagation before the roots form or after the roots have developed, there must be one or few of the requirements in your propagation that are not met. So watch this video, take notes, and don't forget to subscribe guys if you haven't subscribed yet. Join me in my advanced gardening channel. I upload video every week and I don't want you guys miss anything. So let's get to it. Alright, oh my gosh, it is too hot and humid. I think it is 90 degrees right now in Ohio. I live in Ohio. As much as I like heat, when I was in the Philippines, I can tolerate heat. But since I've been here in the US for so long, I had a hard time adjusting temperature. Alright, so let's get back to our propagation by stem cuttings. And I'm going to walk you through stages of plant propagation to just help you out guys, because plant propagation is fun. But if you keep failing to root your cuttings or your cuttings die in the process of propagation before the roots form or after the roots have developed, it can be frustrating. So I am here today to help you succeed and minimize your loss. So I have my propagation, my cuttings here. This is China doll, and I call it Barbie doll because it is so cute. One of my clients sent me online this little shrub, so I grew in my greenhouse. Years later, the tree became bigger, so I cut it down and propagated as much as I can. So this is one of my propagation, as you can see. And I did not see the flower. When I look at online, the flower looks like Hoya, and it is kind of beautiful flower. And hopefully I get bloom pretty soon. So if you guys like China doll and live in Ohio, come and visit to my garden and get this plant or send me a message. So plant propagation by cuttings have 3 stages, and I'm going to walk you through 3 stages. And the stage 1 is unrooted cutting. Stage 2 is tissue healing, which is the callus formation. So Greg Steven is here right now. What's up, man?
What's up?
You wanna say hello to my viewers? He just came from our ice cream store. No, not secret. Not his ice cream business.
What are you out here doing today?
So I'm doing a plant propagation just to help them root the cuttings because.
And what are you propagating? China
Well,
dolls?
China doll. Well, you can propagate anything. If you apply these methods, I guarantee that you have a higher percentage rate rooting your cuttings. So.
It's 90 degrees out here.
I know.
What are you doing making videos in 90 degree
Oh my gosh,
weather?
look at that. I am sweating right now.
Just
But
like
I
Philippines.
sacrifice myself just for you guys.
I feel like we're in Manila.
You're in Manila?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, this is too hot. That's why I don't want to live in the Philippines.
Do you want me to spray you with the hose?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Greg 7, you mentioned me about this propagation. Just be with me, guys, because I'm going to show you the techniques of propagation later on. You said that the plant is like human cancer or cancer.
Yep.
Can you explain that?
Well, with humans, it's all based on genetics. And with
Well,
plants,
hold
it's
on,
a
hold
lot
on to
like
that,
too.
because some of the gardeners said, can you keep the plants even if it is constructed with the disease? Can you
Yeah.
still propagate
I
that?
understand the question.
Yeah.
I understand the
So
question.
can you
So-
explain that?
All right, so let's talk about cloning, human cloning, or even sheep or whatever you happen to be using. But let's take a human being, and let's take you, for example. If I took you and I cloned you, I'm going to have a person sitting beside you. It's going to have the same allergies. It's going to have the same things that are wrong with you. If you had diabetes, the clone's going to have diabetes. If you have high blood pressure, the clone's going to have high blood pressure. So when you take a cutting from a plant and you look at that stem, and that stem is nice and clean, the pith inside is nice and white, but on the other side there's some systemic canker going on. That canker is systemic, goes through the whole plant. So when you take that cutting, it looks good, it looks healthy, you plant it, it roots, and you plant it into a pot, and within 6 months it's dead. And you go, what happened? It's systemically diseased already, even though it has healthy roots and the cutting itself looks good. It came from a diseased plant. That clone has the same disease in it that the mother parent plant has.
So what is the lesson behind it?
Inspect your plant thoroughly before you take your cuttings from your plant. Make sure it's disease free.
Yeah. There you go, guys. So good explanation, Greg Steven.
Thank you very much.
So he said that think about your plants like humans, that you need to clone a healthy, you know, healthy human being. You don't clone human, you clone animals.
You got a clone Biden
But
in the White House.
who knows, maybe, some days, science. All right, so now the first stage of propagation, let me ask you this question. How are you going to keep your cuttings from day one? Oh, no, I mean, let me rewind. How are you going to minimize your loss of propagation and keeping your cuttings alive from week 1 to 3 months? Write your comments below this video, guys. I would love to hear from you. Another question, what is the most important requirements you first provide to your unrooted cuttings? Write that also. So let's talk about stage 1, which is the unrooted stem. Now, this is the most critical time period where it requires you to properly manage and monitor your propagation, acknowledge signs and symptoms of disease, because if you don't, you have a huge loss. Now, unrooted cuttings need water and energy to survive. By keeping the plant's leaves on the stem allows the cutting to photosynthesize. And we already know photosynthesis is a process of building glucose, which is simple sugar, and converting this sugar to energy, and uses this energy to create callousing and root formation. Our beautiful koi fish just died today and is so sad. She's pregnant too. So Greg buried the fish on this raised bed. He was afraid raccoon will get into the raised bed and dig up the fish. So I told him to apply azotic plus onto soil so raccoon won't get into it. And it is sad because we had the fish for several years. Alright, let's get back to our video, plant propagation by stem cuttings. I'm going to walk you through the process of propagation to help you guys minimize your loss of cuttings. Propagation is fun because you can multiply your plants in the garden, but if you keep failing to root the cuttings, or most of your cuttings die in the process, it is not fun anymore. So I am here to help you increase your chances of rooting those cuttings by reducing the loss of our propagation. So we will start from the simplest form of propagation, then we will advance to more advanced technique. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so the first propagation, we will do the bottle method, and this is popular. Most gardeners use this kind of technique on propagation, and this is suitable for beginners. So I am showing this to you guys. Maybe you can use this as a practice, and then if you are comfortable, then you can advance your technique. So as you can see here, this is a Gatorade, and I use this bottle, so instead of throwing it away, I use it for propagation. And as you can see, the rows is already established here, and this is already 3 weeks. I don't see any root in here. So 3 weeks of propagation, that is mostly in the stage 2, where callousing formation form and also bud formation forms. And these are all my propagation here. So this is the first methods that you can get a higher percentage rooting the cuttings. So if you see that it is already budding, if you see a new growth here in your second week, don't get excited yet, because we have still a long way to go, because it could happen maybe it dies when the roots starting to develop. So we will maintain this. This is best because it is controlled, and you don't have to worry about the moisture, because it needs moisture, perfect moisture, at least 50 to 60% humidity inside the chamber. So let me show you how I did this. Maybe you can apply this method. So let me put this one here. Now I would recommend using the Cocopeat. You can buy this in nursery near you, or hydroponics. use the Cocopeat because it holds the moisture. And I use this toilet roll. So if you have a lot of toilet rolls in your bathroom, use it. You can use it to propagate. And what is great about using this, because it insulates the cutting. So I have here, let me show you here. So I already have this Cocopeat here and I soak it. So if you pack the substrate, your cuttings will like it, or cuttings like it. So just pack, guys, pack it so good. So you will make sure that the air escape out. You don't want air space here. So all right, so as you can see, it's already absorbing the water. So I don't take out majority of the water. I keep it water on the substrate, so it creates that moisture inside. Now I have this bottle. What do you do? So I'm going to cut this bottle. I will cut up here. All right, so we'll create this hole. So this is for beginners. If you just want to learn how to propagate plants, this is very effective rooting the cuttings. So you don't have to cut all the way and then you make it open. Then you close this so the moisture doesn't get out, only get out from here. You still have moisture inside, but it is perfect for your cuttings. Now, after you do this, what I'm doing here, I use Acetic Plus. So I would recommend you guys to use Acetic Plus and spray inside. This is going to prevent any fungus growing inside your propagation. Now I place this substrate inside. So what I'm doing, I'm going to show you the cutting. All right, so I have my rose here. This is a climbing rose, and I let it finish blooming. So I'm going to just trim this, and I'm going to spray with Acetic to prevent the fungus getting in. Okay, so this is going to prevent browning on the tip. Now, I mentioned earlier that when you take cuttings from any plants you want to propagate, make sure you observe the pit inside, because sometimes the disease can be systemic. You just don't see it. It might look healthy, but the pit might have something discoloration. So if you notice discoloration on the pit inside, or a little bit dry, then don't propagate that. And so far this is great and it is healthy. So what I'm going to do here, there are a few techniques that I'm going to show you. You can do enduring both sides like that. You can do that, or you can cut in half just to endure the tissue part. You break in half and split it. So now I'm going to use this as my propagation. Now it is necessary that you will use a rooting hormone to speed up the propagation, because if it is too long a propagation, that is the opportunity for the fungus to grow in. They're just waiting for the cuttings to stress out, and then it comes in your propagation. So use any rooting hormones. I recommend Clonix gel because it's very active, and I use this all the time in my propagation. So you just need a little bit of Clonix gel, and make sure you coat the cuttings and then set aside for a few seconds. Okay, so here I'm going to create a hole. You can use a pencil or stick, but I'm going to use this because it's available to me, but I have to spray it so no fungus disease getting into my substrate. So I'm going to poke it. So what I'm doing here is that by poking all the way until I touch on the bottom, the tip. Now, after I create a hole, I'm going to insert this cutting. Now, when you bury the cuttings, if you can bury the two node, it's best because you create a good heat in that side, and it prevents dryness of your cuttings. So your cuttings can hold that moisture. So bury it all the way down, just like that. So okay, now I feel it underneath. I felt the stick. That's what I want. Now I press it down. Then after I had it secured, I'm going to place this in the bottle. So I lift this and I will insert. Hold on, I'm going to. Now my thing is broken down, so it's okay. Now I'm going to insert on the bottle inside. I will place that all the way down there. Hold on, guys. So I tried to minimize this space so it fits in the hole. So I was just doing like that, and then I release the toilet roll, and then I place back. It's like that. So it's already inside. Now there is a little bit moisture, so the cuttings can still get the moisture, but there is opening, so you are not building up moisture inside. Too much moisture in your propagation will allow the fungus to grow in. So this is perfect, and what you do is just place this away from direct sun. Now I have a lot of this propagation, and it seems that all of them are surviving. So these are 3 weeks now, and I will show you 3 weeks of propagation. Now week 1 is the unrooted cuttings, 2.5 is the callousing. So that is the sign where you see new bud will be developed. So this is already close to a month. As you can see, it's already the leaves is already forming, and probably there is a new developed roots. But I'm not disturbing this because if I do, it might stress out the cuttings and my cuttings will die. So I just let it be, just to show you guys that it is alive. All right, so look at this. All of them are alive. Now after you place this in the jar, now how often do you provide the water? Now when you mist, this is the thing that you need to avoid frequent heavy misting. So take that notes, avoid heavy misting. You don't want too much water in your propagation. You just need a little bit mist in order to hydrate the leaves. So but you always check the substrate for dryness or wetness, because if it is too dry, then your cuttings will dry out. If it is too wet, your cuttings will rot. Now sometimes when it is rooted, there are cases that your propagation after the root has established died in the propagation, and because of that probably there was a change in the temperature or change in the condition of your propagation site. Maybe it is too dry or maybe it is too wet, then fungus get in and you end up have a browning on the stem. Now to avoid that problem of browning on the stem, that's what I showed it to you. You need to spray with fungicide on the top, and also you sprayed on the bottle. Now keep maintaining that fungicide. You might apply once every 2 weeks just to control the fungus getting into it. So now this is just the beginners, for beginners. So if you are beginners to want to learn how to propagate, this is the perfect methods of propagation, because it is controlled and it is very easy. You just cut the bottles and plug in and voila, you're done. Now the second method that I'm going to show it to you. Now the second method of propagation is the dome tree. So these are my dome tree. I propagate my cuttings in here, and I want to show you how it looks inside. All right, so I propagated my hydrangea here, and this is another propagator that you might use. I use this all the time. Now these are my hydrangeas. You can see it's already established. This is 3 weeks now, and probably it's already callosing. I wanna let me try this and show it to you guys and see if this is already establishing. So this is 3 weeks, mostly 3 weeks root formation occur. Okay, so this is 3 weeks of propagation. Oh, it's already rotting, guys. Look at that. So mostly propagation by soil takes a month to 2 or sometimes 3 months. But as you can see, look at the root. It's already rotting. This is 3 weeks of propagation. And this one here, it looks like browning, but probably just the wood, because I see it, there is bud formation in here. So I'm not disturbing it. So probably all of these are already rotting. So I will put this back because I don't wanna transfer yet for now. So by using this technique allows you to root your cuttings. Now this is very controlled because it is covered by the lid, and then there is vent. You can open the vent. I would recommend to open the vent so the moisture can release out, and while the small portion of the moisture still in the inside, and the cuttings can still utilize that. So this one here is my clematis, and clematis I have difficulty rooting the cuttings, and I use different technique. As you can see here, it seems like it is green, and this is the same propagation I had with the hydrangea. Let us check one and see. So this is the beautiful clematis. So this is 3 weeks. We don't see root. It's a little bit browning or black, but I saw adventitious root in here. Maybe this one will continue develop. So I will put this back until it continues to grow. So I will still keep maintaining the moisture inside. Now you need humidity inside your chamber. Humidity should be at least 50 to 60%. That is ideal for your propagation, in order your propagation to keep alive from day 1 to 3 months. Alright, so the best propagation that I would highly recommend you guys is using the fog system. Now, if you haven't used fog panics before, I would recommend you to use it. Get fog panics on Amazon, or you can get at castyourbeans.com, or you can watch in my some of my videos on how to build a monster machine. That is a great video if you want to build on your own. Fog panics is most suitable in all cuttings. You can propagate even a most difficult plants to root. So this is really perfect. You can propagate anything in this one, especially Julius. Julius is easy, and roses or any kind of propagation. I just transferred some of the rooted cuttings here and transferred to the pot. So use this kind of propagation. There is a beautiful propagator on Amazon, and I will link you in this video. Just check the link. You will see the beautiful fogging system or fog panics. And I use this a lot, especially pothos. Pothos is easy to grow here, and some of my pothos is already rooting. So this is another method of propagation. You don't have to water all the time, because water is already provided in the system. So you just make sure that the system is working, because if it is not, then your cuttings will dry out. Humidity is controlled in the chamber, and you don't have to worry anything. So this is the best propagation if you are going into propagating plants and sell your plants. If you want to sell your plants, so this is the best methods. Now let's check with another methods that I'm going to show to you. Alright, so the other methods of propagation you can apply in your garden is the WikiGrow garden. So this is WikiGrow. You can propagate cuttings, and I propagated a lot of hydrangea. As you can see, this is almost 2.5 weeks, and it's still green, and it is not browning. A little bit of the leaves, it is natural. And what is great about propagating cuttings in this method, you provide the water and the soil constantly moist because you have the water. It's almost like hydroponics or like a hybrid type of gardening because you use water and soil. Now, if you grow your hydrangea here, just one cutting and let it be, so you can keep your cutting in this type of propagation. There is no dryness because it is provided by, it is automate, and you just turn on the water and it feeds the water to the system, and then your cuttings can absorb that water. Now, the most problem happens in desiccation of cuttings if the water moisture is not properly provided. So as I mentioned earlier in this video, it can be dry out, or it can be building up moisture. So by using this method, if you try one of this system, I guarantee you can rest assured that your cuttings will root eventually, and you have less failure in your propagation. This is what I did. I have done this for so many times, and I run an online nursery, so I need to use different technique or different methods of propagation to maximize my growing. So by using this system, you can propagate any kind of plants. And I hope this video helped you guys. So just remember that controlling the most important in the critical time period of cuttings, in the beginning when you take the cuttings, it is unrooted, so it needs proper moisture, proper light, and also proper water, proper humidity and temperature, because if it is too cold, the cuttings will not root. It slows down the rooting time, and if it is too hot, then your cuttings will cook. So it has a lot of adjustment. So that is why you have to monitor and manage your propagation in the first week of the rooting. First week of propagation, what I say. So again, hopefully this one will help you, and if you use this method and you have a good success, write comments on my next video. I have a lot of videos, so I want you guys to watch some of my videos. If you want to learn more advanced gardening ideas, I upload videos every week, and join my channel because I had a lot of cool things that I'm going to share it to you. So again, so use the bottle. If you're beginners, practice in the bottle. Bottle is great, and you have a higher success rooting your cuttings. And then you can use WikiGrow, you can use Fagpanics, you can use dome tray. The dome tray you have to monitor all the time because you are controlling it on your own time, and it is not automate. So you have to adjust the temperature all the time. So sometimes you might have a problem in your propagation. It could dry out or could too much water. So that is why you have to monitor all the time of your propagation. If you do all of these methods, guys, that I show it to you, I am sure you will be successful in your propagation. If I'm successful of my propagation, and I want you to be successful too. So thank you for watching, guys. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to my channel, and also give thumbs up or give super like if you enjoy watching this video. So thank you, guys. Marcelina at CashewGreens.com. See you next time. Peace out.